5 years in Canada and no PR. You've been living here in Canada for 5 years, came as an international student, got your post-graduation work permit. It is approaching expiration and there is absolutely no PR option. What should you do? What can you do? Well, this is a real situation that I'm telling you about. Somebody contacted me the other day and they were telling me about their journey, and they mentioned that they came to Canada 5 years ago in 2020 as an international student. They did a 2-year diploma program in business administration in Lethbridge, and subsequently to graduating, they got their post-graduation work permit, which typically, if you did a 2-year program back then, you would have been eligible for a 3-year post-graduation work permit, which that person had gotten. So that person came here with their spouse, no kids, just husband and wife. The wife is a student. The husband came on a spousal open work permit, which was extended when the spouse got the post-graduation work permit. Now, they got that work permit in 2022, and it's now 2025, and it is approaching expiration very, very quickly. And they reached out to me and they were like, Dems, what can I do in order to, stay in Canada and also to give myself a better chance of getting permanent residency? Now, of course, guys, I'm no immigration consultant. I'm not an immigration lawyer affiliate. This is not legal advice. Take it with a grain of salt. I'm just pretty much sharing my own perspective and opinion on the matter. So the same thing I shared with her the other day is the same thing I'm going to share with you guys if you find yourself in a similar situation. Famous saying goes, prevention is better than cure. It simply means before it gets to a stage where you are approaching expiration within a year or within a couple of months, you want to be able to put yourself in a few positions that can increase your chances of becoming eligible or getting a stream that can provide you the platform to become a permanent resident, right? Now, that being said, I'm not here to judge anyone. I'm not here to judge anyone for their choices and so forth, so on. Everybody's different. I'm just simply stating my own opinion on the matter. A lot of persons come to Canada and they become settled within a specific community, and that's okay because you uproot your life from your home country and you come to a new country and you're pretty much starting over back from scratch, and you have to transition into that new community. So the thought of leaving that community to go to a different community, to start over again, make new friends, integrate again into a whole new community, a lot of immigrants shy away from that. So I understand why persons tend to stay within the specific community that they land in initially. Now, my advice to you is be open to move, be open to change, and look at the immigration landscape by doing some form of future projection. Begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind is always the first solution. Now, you came as a student, and of course, you had no intention of going back to your home country. Your intention was to study in Canada and hopefully become a permanent resident and ultimately a citizen, because that's the goal for a lot of persons, right? Not many persons come to Canada, study with the intention to go back home. Of course, there's a few persons who do that as well. But for the vast majority, studying in Canada is really just a means to an end. It's really just a means to an end. You come as a student, you get your postgraduate permit, you get an immigration stream that qualifies you for PR, you become a PR, you become a citizen. That's the usual goal for a lot of international students. So if that is your goal, you want to be doing some future projection. And by doing future projection, you want to be following the immigration landscape to see what's available and what's not available for you to become a permanent resident before it gets to the point of your permits expiring, right? You want to be doing that as soon as you pretty much even done school, or even before you start school. You have a clear idea of what's going to be happening, where you're going to go, and so forth, so on. Now, say you have your plans and things change. Immigration has been changing a lot over the past year and a half, 2 years. Immigration is very fluid at the moment. It's like changing here, there, and everywhere. Every day you wake up is almost like a different change in the immigration space here in Canada. So that's why it's gonna be important for you to be flexible. Now you have your plan A, which is your future projected plan, your goal. You have an idea of what you want, but be willing to adapt. So, and that is where you're gonna be also like looking into different communities. Now, I say that to say all of this. In Alberta, you had the rural renewal stream, which was pretty much an open shut case for persons who had a work permit to become permanent residents. All you needed to do at that point in time was to move to a participating community. If you had a work permit already, it made it so much easier for you, and a lot of persons benefited from that program who weren't even living in Alberta, who didn't study in Alberta, simply moved to Alberta from a different province, i.e. Ontario, because Ontario is not just Toronto, BC, different places, etc., etc. And those persons came to these rural communities, got their PR, and many of them even moved back to those cities that they came from. So persons here in Alberta did not choose to take up that program when it was open and very fluid and stuff, because most of the communities are on pause at the moment for the rural renewal stream. So that was an opportunity missed. Now say all of those opportunities passed you by, and now you're approaching expiration on your PR, on your document, your work permit. What can you do? What should you do? 5 years in Canada, no PR. What should you do? Okay, so there's a program going on right now in immigration. It's called the Humanitarian Program. I would advise you to get an immigration consultant, because at this point in time, you need all the resources that's available to you. So I would advise you to get an immigration lawyer, an immigration consultant to advise you adequately as per to the different streams. But one of the popular streams right now is the humanitarian stream, which allows persons who are living in Canada already the opportunity to apply for permanent residency. Now the humanitarian stream is different than you're not filing asylum, you're not claiming refugee status. You're filing underneath a legitimate stream. Now, under the humanitarian stream, it's very important to note that even if you're on an expired status, even if your work permit expire, if you're here as a visitor and you are no longer legal status, you're out of status, you can still apply underneath the humanitarian stream. With conditions, of course, which is why I advise you guys to definitely go and get an immigration consultant and lawyer to walk you through the nuances of the different streams. But that's something that I mentioned to her that she can consider. The other thing I've told her that she can consider, before I say that, on a post-graduation work permit, you are not able to extend it. So all the persons who are going to say, why don't you just apply for an extension on our post-graduation work permit? You are not eligible or allowed to extend your post-graduation work permit. It's a one-time permit. Now, in COVID, there were provisions made for you to extend it up to one time, but then that provision is gone, right? We're back at square one. You are not able to extend it as long as it's expired. It's a one-time thing, so you can't extend it. So my other advice then is, outside of the humanitarian and getting a consultant and all of those fun things, my other advice would definitely be, don't allow yourself to become illegal in Canada. What you can do is to apply for a visitor's visa, right? So if a permit expires, all things not working out, apply for a visitor's visa, right? Applies for a visitor's visa. Allow yourself to fall out of status, right? You don't want to be illegal in this country. So you want to be able to find solutions, but you want to be legal while you're finding those solutions. So that's my biggest advice. The other tip I'd share is, even if you realize that, okay, then you only have a couple more months remaining on your permit and so forth, so on, stop just looking within your community. Start looking outside of your community for opportunities, because it's obvious that looking within your specific community is not necessarily working out for you. So be open to looking into different communities and even in different provinces if you have to, because the fact that you have studied in Canada for 2 years, the fact that you have worked in Canada for 3 years gives you a significant advantage over many other candidates. So you want to be able to use that to your advantage. So don't just feel like you're restricted to a specific community or feel like you're restricted to a specific province. You want to be able to look into different communities, different provinces, and find that opportunity, right? So that's my biggest advice to you. Now, prevention is better than cure. However, if you find yourself in that situation, approaching 5 years, no PR, you need to get aggressive, more aggressive than what you've been doing over the past 4.5, coming up to 5 years being in Canada. Whatever you've been doing, relaxing, going through the motion, is simply not working. Not work. So you want to be able to be a little bit more aggressive, and sometimes finding an employer who's willing to help you along your journey, immigration journey, is the best thing you can do as a temporary resident. Sometimes, and I've spoken about this a whole lot of times already, but sometimes as temporary residents, a lot of persons get comfortable with a specific employer or employment because it has some level of prestige, right? So, okay, then you become the manager there, and somebody asks you what you do for work, and you be like, oh, that's what I do for work, and you know, it brings a level of prestige. However, it is not at all contributing to your immigration journey. It can't help you. The organization can't help you. The job can't help you. None of that. But because you're probably getting good pay and it has a level of prestige, persons stick with it for years upon years upon years. And then when they realize that their back is against the wall, now they're scampering. Listen, your immigration journey is your responsibility. Nobody else's responsibility, right? Nobody's coming to bail you out and to help you make it and so forth, so on. It's up to you 100%. How fast or slow your immigration journey moves. Nobody's coming to bail you out. So sitting down and in an employment because it pays the bills and adequately, and you can live the Canadian dream and so forth, so on, it's kind of like counterproductive if it's not contributing to your immigration journey. Your immigration journey is your number one priority as a temporary resident, whether as a temporary foreign worker or an international student or any other temporary status. If your goal is to become a permanent resident and a citizen of Canada, you have zero loyalty. You have loyalty to yourself and to your family. Nothing else is of importance other than your immigration journey. So begin with the end in mind. Be open to looking into different communities. Be proactive, be aggressive and be adaptable and open to change is what I would say to you guys. If it is that your goal is to become a permanent resident and you find yourself running out of status, don't wait until you only have a couple more months remaining to start make those important decisions, because you know what, you snooze and lose. The race is not for those who procrastinate, but it's for those who are aggressive and push, right? And then that's how you usually get results. Anyways, I just wanted to share this quick video with you guys. If you guys are new here, please take a second to just hit that subscribe button for me. It's very important for you guys to do that. Smash a like on this video as well, and let me know in the comment section, have you been in this situation before? Are you currently in this situation? Or just general, what tip would you share to somebody who is a temporary resident and want to become a permanent resident in Canada? What tip would you share with that person? Drop it right down below and let's have a conversation about it. Until next time, see you guys in the next video.